Okay guys, had some new-ish faces at the Olympia this year. It was three of these guys, their first Olympia, and then you had one guy being Dallas McCarver and his second time out. Dallas placed 8th, Josh placed 9th, Justin Compton was 10th, and Nathan De Asha was 12th. Now the question today is who's got the greatest potential out of these new guys to really pose a threat up the top or even win it. Put them through the poses that I could get where I had similar quality shots of these guys from the Olympia in this right sort of angles. So I'll start off with side chest. Dallas looks strong on this one here. The way he poses it is quite good, sort of reminiscent of Phil Heath a little bit. Then he turns his right shoulder in to give that depth to the pose, really squeeze the chest. Nathan does it to a lesser extent, but he's got really a very heavy chest and it looks really dense. Josh, not one of his better poses for me. I think his chest is a little bit light, as are his arms. He doesn't look as impressive as the other two guys. Compton, very arm dominant, this guy here. His chest could be better, quite frankly. You know, those arms are going to be taking a lot of work away from his chest with those massive triceps and shoulders he's got. But it's still a good pose for him. So in this one here, I'll probably have Dallas first. Just the balance looks really good there. Everything looks very thick up the top through the shoulders, traps, chest. His legs look good from the side. From what you can see in this picture here. Maybe Nathan second, Justin, and then Josh. Josh has got the condition on most of these guys here, but probably let down a little bit his pose. Front double bicep. Not a great fan of Dallas in this shot here. He's lifted his arms and he sort of loses all sort of definition throughout his abdominals. He's got big arms, but the peak is a bit light. Not a particularly impressive shot for him. This is Nathan's strongest shot for me. Really shows off wide shoulders, very narrow waist, good V taper, big arms, really nice peak on the bicep there, good forearms as well. That's a really good shot for him, and he's in really good condition, so you can see those abdominal separations there too. Josh, this is probably the worst pose for him as far as I'm concerned. His arms look small in comparison to the width of his back. His chest flattens out quite a bit in this shot in the elevated position here. The condition is really hot though. You know, you can see the abs there, you can see the serratus, the legs, they're diced, but not a good shot for me. Justin, got a bit of a vacuum going here, which is a quite impressive thing in this day and age. It looks good. He's got really good sweep around the triceps there, so he's got really nice balance to his arms. His waist looks good in this pose, quite narrow. Really lacking some oil or something, and condition seems to be just a tad off. I'd probably give this one to Nathan over all these guys here, and just purely on shape, maybe Justin second on this one. Just a pure leg shot here. All these guys have got really good legs, I reckon. You've got Compton there. He's got really fabulous, really nicely shaped outer quad. It looks good in all these front poses for him. He's really impressive. Gives a really good flow into his abdominals area, and it makes him look quite narrow in the stomach. Middle, the teardrop is really thick as well. Reasonable separation there. He's got a good shape on his leg. Going over to Josh. Josh is a nice guy out of these lot here. Really good separation. You got some striations across the teardrop there. Outer quad's good shape. Quads, they look okay, but they're just one of those not very shapely quads. Sorry, calves. So they don't come across that well. Nathan, he's got good outer sweep, good inner teardrop. His calves look sort of proportionate to both of those areas there. He just seems to have I don't know what it is, maybe a bit of bow-leggedness. Maybe it's just the way he's got his knees pointed outwards. It separates the legs too much. It looks a little off for me. But the separation's okay there in his the quads themselves, and it's not terrible, just not one of his better ones. Dallas looks good in this. He looks very thick through the legs. His quads are very good shape and really proportionate to his calves, which are just monsters. It's not a whole lot of people where from the front you can see the size of their calves, and you can here with Dallas very much so. He could do with a bit more separation there, and this is probably going to happen with time. He's only such a young guy, and he's got gigantic legs, but he's such a big man, he could probably even go a little bit bigger with his legs there. This isn't my favourite effort here. I'll try to get a shot of them doing their abdominal poses. You got Dallas. He's got an unfortunate separation in his abdominal area. Hasn't got the traditional or perfect, six-pack. But in saying that, Phil Heath hasn't either. Either did Ronnie Coleman, and they did okay. They got 14 Olympias between them. It's not bad for guys without a real good six-pack. So, not a real negative. You can see it okay. It's not terrible. But then you go over to Nathan. He's got a really slim waist, nicely defined abs. A real good pose for him. Josh is really dialed in on this one here. I like this pose as far as it's showing really good separation in his chest. It's diced as. His quads are great. The letdown in this pose is his arms. They look small. I don't know whether he could adapt this somewhat or even dump it as a pose, because other than the arms, everything else looks really good in that one. Justin, this is sort of weird because he can create a really good vacuum with the front double biceps, but when it comes to a more traditional abdominal pose, he can't really get that separation in his abs. So not a great pose for him. It looks quite awkward, in fact. Abs alone, look, it'd be between Nathan and Josh there. They're both really conditioned and they've got a good style of abs. From the back, rear lat spread is, this is a two-horse race really. Dallas is a big man. He needs a big back, and I looked through a few of his lat spreads to see if this was just an intermediate pose. This seems to be the big pose for him as far as they can go out. He needs a bigger back. He's what is he, over 6 foot, I'd say. He's pushing 300. he needs more width. And when we get to the back double bicep, we'll talk about detail there. But he definitely needs more width there. The condition was reasonable. His glutes are a little bit soft. He's still in good shape, but not a good pose for him. Nathan, again, I tried a few poses thinking this might have been an interim one. This is the best I could find. I don't know what's going on with his back. There seems to be some imbalance there in the poses that I could find. He seems to have good thickness going down through the traps, but the width in his lats aren't there. And I'm going back to Dallas quickly. The trap depth is just not there, or thickness is just not jumping out at you. Whereas you go to the guys down the bottom here, you've got Compton. Those traps are going very deep. And while I think he's got fairly high lats, it's not demonstrated here. That thickness of that back goes right down to his hips. A little bit better condition, and there'd be a really good pose for him. The width is there. This Josh kills this one. He's got great thickness, width is good, and he's brought super hard conditioning. Look at those traps. You can just see all the detail there, all the details through the rhomboids. You know, the lower back is just sitting out like a butt. The glutes, tie-in, all that stuff. Really, this is a easy win for him. Justin second on this, and the other boys are a fair way behind for me on this. Rear double bicep. Dallas again. Look, the trap is not deep enough. The depth of his back, it's just not there. The detail's not there. Not a good pose for him. He needs to work on this if he really wants to be competitive, but he's got time. Nathan, I don't know what was going on with this pose. A little bit awkward. I don't think he's doing this pose to the best he can. He's squeezing together his back as much as he can to probably to get that detail out of his pose. But I think all he's doing is narrowing his back. It's not looking good, and it looks imbalanced, but I think that's more the angle that he's trying to work. Look through the shoulders and arms, he looks great, but the back's a bit of a letdown here. And now in reflection, this is why he's placed at the top, out of the top 10. Justin, not bad. He definitely got some very thick back there. The shoulders and arms are just massive, and they do dominate a bit. Works against him because, look, there's no question his back will be equal to any of these guys here in size, but just the comparison of those arms, it actually starts to look a little small. He needs better condition though to really bring out that detail. Josh is just smashing this one again from the back. The details there, good development the whole way through his back, all parts of it. He's got a good sized back for his shoulder and arm development from the rear, and get his glutes diced. You know, one of the better conditioned guys in the comp for sure, and place was justified. Now, who is the guy with the most potential here? Oh man! But look, it's a really tough call. Dallas has got to bring up his back quite a lot, and that's no small feat to do. But I think he's got the back to do it. He hasn't got, say, super high lats or anything, which really genetically struggle. But it's going to take time, and I don't think it's going to be there next year or the year after. I think it's going to take a few years to get that really to the same size as the front. And look, he's got the time to do it, but he's placed pretty well, so we'll see how he goes. Nathan, something's going on with his back there. If he gets that worked out, poses a little bit better in some ways and does something with regards to his leg and how he has his stance. He's really good. You got Josh. Those arms have got to come up. The chest has got to come up for him to be a real threat. Because from the rear, and from the waist down, he's really good. In condition, pretty much, he's come in diced here at the Arnold's earlier in the year. He's in really good shape, so obviously knows how to come in condition. Just needs to do something about the size of his arms and chest, and that is difficult. Justin's got stacks of mass. There's not a whole lot this guy has to really develop. It's conditioning. Conditioning in his abs. Abs are a tricky thing for anyone. If you haven't got that sort of ability to get that tight, separated abdominal, it's not something you can really build on. But if he gets his condition and really, really dialed, this guy's a real threat. Look, I'll probably give it to Dallas marginally. Just because of his age, I think he's got more time to do something and really blow everyone away. He's already huge, but he's got the height, the structure, the width to put on another 20 pounds or something like that comfortably without looking at all unusual and retaining his balance. He made a massive improvement from last year. If he made the same improvement from last year to this year, yeah, he could be a threat next year. But look, that was a significant improvement. Those sort of improvements don't come along every year. So probably going to be more gradual, incremental improvements over the next couple of years. This guy's going to be up there in the fighting for the top spots. Alright guys, that's my thoughts. Happy to hear what you think as well. Okay, see ya.